Okay, and I'm back with another video of GM advice, and this video is about how to combine a number of different ideas into a single game. Now, this works mostly with games that have either a fairly generic rule system or a game that has a storytelling based system, and my video on this was spurred by my own attempt to run my first Google Plus online game for three of my friends who are in different areas of the country. Originally we were planning to run some generic fantasy, however, having run a Dungeon World game fairly recently, which, although fairly enjoyable, was a generic fantasy game, I didn't want to do the same thing again. So, as ever, I've turned to my trusty stalwart, Fate Accelerated. As I've said probably more than enough times, one of my favourite systems at the moment. And one of the main benefits of Fate Accelerated is as a system, it's very story based and it can be turned to a number of different genres. Now, rather than simply repeating what I'd done with Dungeon World and running a generic fantasy, what I wanted to do was attempt to run something a little more unusual. Now, one of my friends, Pigeon, who's playing in this game, is a mad fan of computer games and even has his own channel, Ascendant Gaming, on YouTube. I'll stick a link up below in case anyone's interested. And I knew that he'd be well engrossed in all the recent wibbling about Grand Theft Auto 5 that's going on the internet. Now, unfortunately, being epileptic myself, I don't really play a great deal of computer games, and the last GTA game I played was Vice City. However, I'm pretty much aware that the essential format of the game hasn't changed, so I thought that doing something that was based on that model might be nice. However, I wanted to combine it with something else to make it a little bit quirky, a little bit unusual, a little bit interesting, to excite him and draw him into what might be his first tabletop experience. Now, as a great lover of Cthulhu-esque horror and Lovecraft's writing, I decided to combine some Cthulhu concepts with Grand Theft Auto and create Grand Theft Cthulhu. The first step in this was creating the image that you see on the screen now, a sort of send-off of all of the various GTA covers on the computer games. I then produced a handout page based on the GTA 5 manual that I found online for all of my players. And this was posted into the event on Facebook. Now, what advice would I give to anyone planning to run a combined game? Well, first of all, I'd say when you start off, don't try combining any more than two different genres, since, especially if you're only doing it as a one-off, it could get very confusing. I'd also say that such games do tend, in my opinion, to work better as one-off rather than long-running campaigns. And when you do decide to combine two different types of game, what I'd suggest you do is you pick one which is going to be the main elements of the game, and that's going to be the main theme and how your game runs, and then flavour it with elements from the second game. Don't try and choose equally from both games, or you'll just end up with a confused mismatch that's neither one nor the other. For instance, in my game, the game is very much going to be based on Grand Theft Auto, i.e. it's going to be a high-octane chase-a-rama involving gangsters, guns, cars and criminal empires. However, this is going to be flavoured with some of the occult items and the mystery and the monsters from the Cthulhu mythos. However, it will not be a Cthulhu mythos story, since trying to capture both the essential flavour of Grand Theft Auto and the essential flavour of Lovecraft's writing wouldn't, I believe, be possible without a great deal more thought than I'm prepared to devote to a one-off game. And also, I think even if you got it as near as damn it correct, you'd never end up with a game that meshed 100%. After all, these genres weren't really designed to work together, and you're just sort of kludging them together. You'll end up with, in the same manner as when you mix paint, you'll end up with a muddy brown mess. Whereas what you actually want to do is pick a couple of different colours that complement each other and that can be used together, or that even contrast each other and show up the differences, and then lay them down side by side with one area of main colour and small accents of the second colour. In this game, as I've said, the main element will be GTA, the action, the pace, the crime, the cars, the violence, in order to draw in the less experienced players. And the second element will be the Cthulhu monsters, the horror, and some of the elements that I will have extracted from numerous Cthulhu books, including this one, Chaosium's H.P. Lovecraft's Arkham. I intend to be running the game in a fictional city named after Arkham, and I've cribbed several of the names of families, etc., that will be in my handout from this book. But that's my advice. If you're going to combine two games, pick one of them as your main theme and then add smaller hints and accents of the other. Don't try and cram too much in. Sometimes in these games, less is more. Hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and if you have anything to say on the matter of combining dissimilar games, or maybe systems that you'd recommend for doing that, please leave your comments in the box below. And if you like the video, please remember to subscribe, and I look forward to reading what you write.